Hi, this is Codes of Harmony. So, have been doing so much deep meditation, study, and have been getting a lot of synchronicities and conversations with my guides about, come on, hey, come on, oh, come on. Hey, come on, let's go for a walk. Come on, let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on. About living life. When you live life really close to nature, the different philosophies and experiences that you have in the way that you kind of engage with the collective can change and evolve, which is, of course, expected, right? And that happens simultaneously with connecting deeper with the true nature of the self, connecting deeper with your ancestors, and doing a lot of what indigenous healers, indigenous starseeds, as in starseeds that have incarnated in the vessel of an indigenous being, indigenous person, such as myself, the kind of work that we're asked to do, and that work is really, so much of it is, basically I've taken a bit of a break for a while, but I haven't actually taken a break because I have been working very hard to pull in and categorize and organize all the downloads that I'm receiving, the collective downloads. So at some stage not long ago, my tarot readings, normally there'd be a whole bunch of personalized readings, in terms of, ones, it just, at some stage it just very much shifted into collective readings and having this almost thermometer around that reflects the collective's energy at any one time in our collective, and of course individual ascension, healing, evolution and journey. And so they're bringing in these major downloads that seem to be connected to a lot of the work I did before I officially became, a professional healer, an oracle tarot reader. Come on. Oh, sorry, one of the puppies is, come on, darling, being shy. Hey, it's alright. Hey. Come on. Hey. Come on. Come for a walk. Come on. And yeah, so these major downloads, right? Okay. Long channel, short channel is, abbreviation of a long channeling is that there are these really major collective downloads coming in at the moment here for me in this space that talk about the individual and the collective journey of what they're describing to me as spiritual decolonization. So, as I said, or I think I started saying, a lot of the downloads seem to be very much connected to the life, the kind of, the roles in my community, in the collective, my roles professionally and personally to a certain degree, before I cognitively understood and realized that I'm a healer, right? And many healers have this similar journey of going through all of this stuff before realizing our gifts, realizing who we truly are. Come on, darling. Yeah. So cute. And brave girl. Yeah, definitely. It's really hot here. It's like so hot in the land of Oz, in so-called Australia. A lot of the downloads, collective downloads, thank you for those who are still with me. A lot of the downloads and collective energies are connected to the experiences I've had as an artist, as a curator, as a community worker, as a facilitator, and as an activist in many forms that I don't need to go through. So yeah, then they're talking about, you know, the souls that have incarnated. This is one of my favorite rocks. So, it's like it always looks to me like a friendly, cute face, or like a pug, like almost like a statue of a pug that's got its ear missing. So yeah, about the work that particularly starseeds who have incarnated into the vessels of Indigenous peoples. But, you know, obviously that also means incarnating into the community of Indigenous peoples, into a family of Indigenous peoples, into a lived experience of an Indigenous person. And I don't know how much this is being discussed within the spiritual community, because the spiritual community is definitely not void of or immune to all of the bigotry that can exist in the more general collective, in the matrix, as some might say. You know, that there is still these elements of programming and essentially like what it really is about. They're bringing in so many downloads, it's overwhelming. Let me see if I can reflect just a few. I'm going to try and cover maybe 3 in this video. So they're talking about, please, for me, clear divine guidance. We most let me just move into the channel. Give me clear divine guidance be most beneficial for everyone involved. May I be a pure and divine vessel of communication in this moment. Okay, so they're talking about the work that Indigenous peoples are asked to do spiritually. They're talking about this in terms of not only the black, brown, Indigenous peoples within the spiritual community, but also those who would not identify as being quote-unquote spiritual. So obviously everything's energy, everything's frequency. It's almost like they're showing me so many images. Please send me clear divine guidance be most beneficial for everyone involved. I feel very much in the astral space. Like I feel that I've been doing a lot of work in the astral space, and that is very much like moving into the ways that I believe that my work is shifting and changing as we all are. And, you know, it's really important, as Nina Simone once said, you know, an artist should, our job and our responsibility is to reflect the times. And I believe that also of oracles, and I am an oracle. And I am not only an oracle, but I'm an oracle that has been born into the vessel of an Indigenous being with Indigenous bloodline, with particular codes in my blood, particular knowledge and wisdom within my being, both ethereal and physical, right? And so, yeah, so many years before I became, I'm going to make a different video about it, but I'm just bringing in these simple few channelings. So I'm going to make a different video, and potentially the other channel that I've referenced that I've been working on or planning towards for a little while, which is about talking about larger issues oddities and, kind of interesting complications that are present in the collective healing journey that my guides have communicated with me are not being discussed or covered enough within the collective conversations around the soul's decolonization, is the way that they're talking to me about it. So they're saying that the collective needs to go through a deprogramming of the soul when it comes to one of the most painful, the way they're showing it to me is like if there's a timeline of the collective journey, like a timeline of the human consciousness, there's this kind of very, very dark, like chalky, thick, noxious cloud that sits over, and it's not even like a cloud in the air, it's somehow like it seeps in. It's like ink, almost like an ink spot on the, like a noxious ink spot on the collective timeline. Okay, so obviously please bear with me as I shift into the new ways that I've taken the last kind of 2 months to be working on this shift in the work that I'm doing, in the healing, in the way that, like, I'm responding to the way my channeling is actually changing, which of course is the work in the ether, the work in the astral space, the work that is also reflected here in a physical channel, on a platform, a physical, in the 3D platform, yeah? So everything is energy. And so it's like it doesn't matter how much work we do and how much collective consciousness awakens to the frequency of love and healing and peace, and people do their shadow work, etc., etc. As much as that happens, until they're showing it to me like there needs to be a spiritual cleansing, like a spiritual purging and purification of this very dark stain on the collective timeline that is in some way, what they're showing it to me as is like a dark portal with these like black, red, purple flames, and at the same time it's kind of like a tear in the space-time. That it's like it's a tear in space is what it also looks like somehow. And now I'm hearing a tear in the space of ascension, a tear in the space of collective awakening. And so, yeah, they're talking about this black ink spot, this smoggy, toxic ink spot on the collective timeline, which of course is colonization and this ongoing failure of the collective to choose the higher cup, to choose to love, accept, and learn from each other. So yeah, this purging needs to happen, and so it's kind of like something stuck in the way of the next stage of the collective ascension is what I'm being guided to share here at Codes of Harmony. And that just remind you that a lot of the work you do is not necessarily, there's work going on in the physical, there's work going on in the ethers, there's work going on in the astrals, there's work going on in multi-dimensional spaces, in multiple timelines that you are actually part of and that you are directly influencing, shaping. And all of those woven timelines that are existing on multiple dimensions are, of course, shaping, weaving, and forming what is also taking place here in the now, in the waking moment of the collective. Yeah, so really big, powerful messages are coming through, and I am definitely, like, very openly, you know, with my hand on my heart, saying that I am listening to my guides, that I am listening to the divine, that I am tuning in and doing things in a timeline that is not necessarily reflected in this physical format. And that is something that many of you, I am hearing, have sensed and felt when engaging in my channel, engaging in my work, engaging in this space that we have curated together. Because this space we've curated together, of course, is also reflected in the astrals, just as anyone who does any work like this, right? It's like we have a collective, we have our own collective within a larger collective. We then have the collective of the vessel and the identity, the bloodline we were born into. We then also have our soul's identity, and all of those, of course, are one, but they are also individual, just as we are, is what I'm hearing. And there's something about, like, the idea of, like, some kind of sky vessel, like imagine if it's a plane, yeah, it's a plane for you. If it's a ship, it's a ship for you. If it's a air balloon, it's an air balloon for you. It's some kind of vessel that there are always going to be people that know how to steer the ship. There will always be people that know what's actually going on in the engine space, in the thing that is powering that vessel to move forward. Then there will also always be passengers. There will always be people that are along for the ride, and that, of course, depending on what happens in the engine room, depending on what happens at the steering wheel, the proverbial, metaphorical, spiritual steering wheel, which of course is the light workers, the healers, the starseeds, the oracles, the seers, the shamans, the medicine men, women, and folk. We are definitely in those positions of steering and guiding the ship, but that does not mean that the energetic work that the passengers are doing is not also part of what is helping the vessel move, and part of what is I'm hearing, I'm channeling the collective gateway into the golden age. The golden age of consciousness, the golden age of being, the golden age of being able to be, and collectively all we can be. And this has to happen by doing this spiritual, energetic, and I just heard religious, so that'll mean different things for different people, purging of this, I just heard evil stain on the collective timeline and subconscious. Yeah, and this does not mean that, that you are necessarily nobody is any one thing, but there is definitely a imbalanced collective warping of the natural flow of things on this earthly plane, which is truly what I have channeled and what I believe to be what has slowed us down in our consciousness and allowed us to damage Gaia, Mother Earth, in the way that we have collectively. And that is reflected in the way that Indigenous peoples have been taught, Indigenous peoples have been treated, the way Indigenous peoples have been stolen from, have been murdered and genocide, And there are different forms of genocide in multiple different places with the people in different timelines. But if there is a repeated trend of it being white people towards brown people, Westerners, quote unquote white people, European, Caucasian people, on Asian, brown, Indigenous beings for such an extended period of our collective journey, that has definitely created what they're showing me is like in the collective spiral of time, there is an imbalance, like a warping that we energetically have done. So that warping of the timeline it's not for me to say, and I cannot say at this stage. Like, I'm still working with these energies and these new guides that I've taken on, these new downloads, and I cannot yet say, like everything I know, everything happens with divine purpose and divine guidance, but I am being told that there are certain members of the collective of light, the collective of consciousness, the collective of healers, that there are certain ones of us that are light bearers and teachers and ascended masters that have incarnated many times in indigenous bodies and vessels and consciousness, both in these realms and others. Excuse my voice, I've been singing a lot. Hey, what you doing? Hey? So, wow, the channel is so, like, shiny and bright and beautiful and clear in this moment of my journey, and that will not and does not need to be reflected always in this 3D reality, and may that be a message and a lesson to you. Yeah. So they're also talking about indigenous peoples holding the keys. They're talking about people of color, disabled folk, marginalized people, which of course includes the members of the LGBTQIA+ community, queer people, those who are born into vessels, or experience things that change and shape their vessel in a way that allows them to see things about the collective that an able-bodied person, that a person who has not experienced and does not know the same, the darkness of that collective stain on our timeline. That was us collectively over many, many hundreds of years choosing the lower cup. And now we are all at an ascension journey collectively and individual, where we have a choice to choose the higher cup of consciousness, the higher cup of ethics. Please, for me, clear divine guidance be most beneficial. This is Codes of Harmony. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for everything that you are. Okay, so I'm going to do another video like this, and who knows how many more, as, like I said, I've taken a break, and I've been doing lots of other work in the 3D, with both living beings and ones who are not. Also, shout out to my mediums, because that is, like, being a medium is also a whole nother level of lived experience. So I also think it's interesting, myself as an example, of myself being born as an indigenous person, on land that we are said to be the oldest surviving peoples in the world, and our way of life, our way of being, our way of loving and caring for Gaia, our way of living collectively, our ethos. I just think that's also interesting, that I'm also born as a medium, like somebody who can hear and speak to spirits, and that was long before, that's been since I was a child, so that was also before I also consciously decided to be and understood myself to be a healer, a medicine woman, a quantum worker, a tarot reader, and all of the many things. I hope some of this made some sense to some of y'all, and I love you all so much. And thank you to my sweet little harmonic collective. If any of you have been worrying about where I am, do not worry, I'm doing some really big work. And all I'm going to say is that a revolution is coming, and that is going to be taking place within, for everybody, in ways that we have never known in our collective conscious memory. Okay, so much love from Codes of Harmony. Mwah!